Presented by GhostBed.com.
What is up? Welcome back to Tomahawk'd. I am your host, Rob Fox. I'm joined as always by fellow Braves fan, Dan Holloway. You know what's funny? By the way, you're the first, I mean this literally, the first Braves fan I've ever been friends with.
Oh, well, you were in St. Louis.
Yeah.
And that's probably not an easy
It was not.
conversation to have. I don't know how long that rivalry's been going on, but at least since the early 2000s.
Oh,
probably not so much in the 90s, but in the 80s for sure.
Yeah, with like Dale Murphy.
Yeah, because the Cardinals sucked in the 90s, but in the 80s they were pretty good. They were actually really good, and then by 2003 or 4 they were really good as well.
I think they made their first. Well, they made their first NLCS in '96,
right,
against the Braves. But then once the century turned, 2000, they became perennial. I actually have a buddy from home coming in next week, and he's become like a huge fan of the show after I started working here. He's like, dude, I fucking love this, and watches every day and stuff. And I was going to have him on the show because he's going to be here Wednesday, which is the day we usually broadcast, to just talk about how much him and my other friends fucking hated me for being a Braves fan.
And he's a Cardinals fan?
Yeah. Big Cardinals fan.
He might be happy here pretty soon. In the next couple of days, I guess we'll see what happens.
We will talk about that. But first, leading off with some non-Braves stuff, even though this is an Atlanta Braves podcast, we have a fun, I don't know why, but it entertained me a lot, this fight video from Fenway. It's on the Instagram from the Baseballer, I think it's called. It's just like, the fight's like almost just like hilariously pointless if you can see it. I don't know if you're watching.
Yeah, I'm watching it. Yeah, it's funny.
It's like these two dudes, like, no one's winning, no one's even getting a good hit in. It's just like these two drunk morons wrestling on the concrete, but like throwing punches. That's just like a win at the ballpark if you're there and that happens next to you.
Yeah, I mean, certainly you want to have your phone ready for that. Neither one of these guys seems to know what they're doing.
It's like two 10-year-old brothers fighting.
Yeah. But, the guy in the orange shirt, I guess that's an orange shirt, is taking some pretty meaningless shots to the side and top of the head there.
But I guess the guy in the white shirt on the bottom can walk away feeling good because he technically made contact with the guy more.
Yeah, wouldn't that be funny if for playground fights in middle school, once it was done, there was some dude with a voice like a docent who came out and the winner is by split decision, Chad.
Well,
or whatever.
We are going to do a show like that soon.
Yeah.
Where we just bet on and judge Chechen child fighting.
Yeah. Yeah, we're definitely doing that.
I can't fucking wait.
Yeah, this is funny though. I mean, I feel like we really need to be a little more understanding about these kind of situations. Don't ban these guys for life. Maybe a week. I feel the same thing about baseball. Hockey's got it right. And football's got it right, too. If two dudes smack each other around in the football field, there might be a penalty. Mm-hmm. But dudes aren't getting ejected unless they try to stab somebody.
Right.
But in baseball, you get into an argument with somebody, and sometimes they will eject you just to prevent potential violence. No, let them fight. They're professional athletes, man.
You don't want you'd rather someone throw a shitty punch than because baseball players aren't good at punching. Yeah. But what they are good at is throwing a hard ball very quickly at someone accurately and sliding into someone at I don't know, call it 10 miles an hour, spikes up.
Yeah, it's probably more like 15 to be honest. If it's a quick runner, it could be a fast runner. It could be in the high teens. But yeah, there's a study done. Ice Guardians mentions it. That's a documentary on Netflix. But this English hospital or not hospital research medical research facility did a study on the concussions before and after the NHL started penalizing fighting more.
Right.
And the injuries actually went up.
Yeah.
Because dudes know they can go out there and take cheap shots on people now and not have to pay a price for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the same thing that we talked about with Manfred back in the day with the Houston Astros bullshit, where organizations and managers who probably had nothing to do with the goddamn situation got penalized, but the players themselves who were cheating did not get penalized in any way.
No, the only person who remotely got penalized player-wise was
the Rat.
What?
Right? What's his name?
It was Beltran. Lost
pitcher.
his managing job, but he was a player during.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah,
he was a player during that season, but then lost his Mets managing job. Which man, that I don't know. I feel like that didn't work out for us very well. I feel like the Mets would already be in like third place if Beltran. Was
yeah, probably right.
You know what's funny about that, by the way? Did you ever hear the story of the time Maddux threw at Canseco?
No, I don't think so.
So the Rays, it was an interleague game, and the Rays had done something. I think, regardless, they had done something. So retribution was in order.
Yeah,
and this is like,
and Maddux can't exactly pretend like he didn't know exactly where that ball was going, right? Because he went to like a 3-0 count like 60 times in his entire career or some shit like that. So yeah.
And so that actually comes up, and there's a video of it online. You can find it. And I think it's a whole story. Maybe it's some Braves account. I can't remember. It's really funny though. But essentially, what happened is they did something, so we needed to reply. And Maddux was like, "Who's up first?" And Chipper Jones was telling the story, and he laughs and he just goes, "It's Canseco." So like the biggest, most roided dude on the team against Greg Maddux, who looks like he's a science teacher, and. And Chipper, I think, literally goes like, "Hey man, no shame if you want to throw at the second guy." And Maddux is like, "Nah, I can't have people thinking I'm a pussy in the clubhouse, so I'll do it." And he threw at Canseco, and Canseco was like, obviously he's not going to hurt Jose Canseco,
right?
Like because Canseco had so much chemicals in his bodies that I don't know that he felt pain, per se. And B, just Maddux doesn't throw hard, whatever. But so he throws at Canseco, and Canseco looks at him like, "You're Greg fucking Maddux. Like, I know that was on purpose."
Yeah.
And then the bench is clear, and I guess Oral Hershiser was on the team, like late career Oral Hershiser. And he goes up to Maddux, and he's like, "Come on, man. You got better control than that." Because Maddux was like, "Oh, my bad." Like, acted like it was an accident.
Yeah, I mean, I guess not necessarily for the other team, but for the umpire, you kind of have to pretend like you didn't do it on purpose. So otherwise, you're going to immediately get ejected, right?
Maddux, like, pulled a whoopsie, like, was just like, whoopsie, and then you can catch him. One thing I fucking love about Maddux, looking back at his highlights, is he had when he was on or did something like that, he has such like a shit-eating cocksucker smile about it.
He always looks like that to me. He always looks like he's just done something. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what. By the way, in Chicago in '92, he hit 14 dudes.
It was almost all had to be on purpose.
He hit 137 dudes in his career over 23 years. I feel like every one of those was probably intentional.
You got to think so.
Not necessarily as retribution, but like, this guy's crowding the plate too much, so my shit on the outside is not working, so I'm going to hit him every time he comes up until he fucking moves.
Right.
That seems like a Greg Maddux thing to me.
It absolutely
Or
does.
It's like, I know we're going to face these guys, and like, I've heard him talk about this. Remlinger used to tell me shit about this, where he'd be like, why did you do this? He goes, well, I know we're going to face these guys in the playoff, and I want that to be in the back of his mind. Like, okay, man, cool. Nobody else is even playing baseball like that. Everybody else is like trying to survive here, and you're whatever the fuck, 10 years down the fucking road.
Love that man. We need to do just a full episode on his bullshit. I mean, that's like a dream guest.
The mad pisser, yeah.
Yeah, but the only thing is, like, I want to like find out when he's in Austin and get him in studio. Like, I don't even want him.
I don't know if he ever leaves Vegas anymore.
Probably not.
He probably plays golf all the time, right? I don't even know what he does.
One of his daughters.
Wait, where's Mike? Is he in Texas still?
I think they live in Texas. He's the St. Louis pitching coach, though.
Oh, he's St. Louis,
but they don't live there. But because his daughters, I think it was Mike Maddox's daughter or daughters went to SMU.
Michaela and Lexi.
Sure.
So they went to SMU, and then
it was around the same time that I was like, my cousin was there, and I was like fucking around up there a lot, and I was like, I might need to marry into the Maddux family.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
Yeah.
But you know, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, my wife is a disappointment. But anyway, speaking of disappointments, let's get into our first topic here. I don't think we can let Will Smith pitch anymore.
No, he shouldn't be he shouldn't be pitching for a team that's contending, to be honest. I mean,
and they don't even put him in high leverage situations anymore.
No, he's a mop-up guy. But, this is something that we've seen a lot before with relief pitchers. Guys have a 70-game season, and then the next season they fucking suck.
Yeah.
Now, to his credit, Will Smith has been pretty consistent throughout his career. He had, in 14 and 15, he had back-to-back 70, 78 and 76 outing seasons, although they were 65 and 63 innings respectively. So I don't know how that ranks with Johnny Venner's when the Braves blew his arm to pieces.
Way longer.
But, after the 78 and 76 appearance seasons, he had a 2016 was a combined, so it was like 50... 53, 54, 63, then 18 in 2020 because it was a shortened season. Then he came back at 71, and he's getting a little older now. I think it's very rare for not just a closer, but like a relief pitcher in general to have high outing seasons like that.
Yeah,
and then not have an injury or come back with bad performance. Like Luke Jackson's an example of that. He had a pretty good regular season, but blew his arm up. And, there's something to be said about that, I would like to see some research. Like, how frequently does a guy have a good season after a 70 outing season the previous year?
Yeah. I mean,
nothing personal or anything, but I appreciate what he did for the team last year, but we're talking about this year now.
Yeah. I mean, no hate on the guy. Like, literally, he will always be a highlight I watch. Mm-hmm. Just end of story. Like, he pitched the final out of the World Series, and honestly, the final out of an almost somehow more gratifying NLCS, like just watching us put the fucking Dodgers away.
Yeah.
So I'll always have that, and I'll always appreciate him. And he's kind of like a hardo a little bit. Like, I don't necessarily love him being such a hard ass tough guy. So, like, you see the shit with Juan Soto.
No, I didn't see it. But it's like you throw 93, bro. So
right.
Calm down.
Like, I understand being competitive and stuff, but him and Juan Soto get into it. And then the other part of that, too, is so he was talking shit to Juan Soto or something, and Juan Soto just did like the, cry about it, motion to him. And look, I love Will Smith. Like I said, pitched, a highlight I'll watch forever. But, man, like, that's Juan Soto, and you're Will Smith. Like, maybe calm down on trying to big dick Juan Soto, because Juan Soto's about to be a $500 million.
Yeah.
So, and for good reason. So, I mean, but yeah, so Will Smith, he's got a 4.38 ERA. I think his ERA over the last 6 appearances is like 12 or something like that. But his FIP is his fielding independent pitching is a full point higher than his ERA is, which means he's not even getting unlucky. He's getting lucky to be this shitty.
Yeah.
And we talked about it like a week or two ago. Like, I don't understand. Well, I guess it's happening now, but I said 2 weeks ago or something like that. I don't understand how hitters are fooled by Will Smith.
No, I mean, it's all about location for him.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't hit his spots, then he's not going to be successful. Got out to a pretty decent start in April, had a couple of bad outings in May. June, another good period for him, but it looks like since then, July's been rough. I mean, the last 30 days, he's got an 8 ERA. The last 15 days, he's got an 18 ERA. But it's only 4 games, so it can be hard to gauge with relief pitchers sometimes. But, I mean, if you look back through the game log, it's like he had a decent inning against the Angels. But the previous game gave up a home run. That's going to happen sometimes. Couldn't make it through a full inning on Tuesday. Gave up, 3 runs against the Nationals. These are like shitty teams,
right?
Like the Phillies, that was legit.
Yeah. Who hit that home run? Schwarber.
Yeah, but the Nationals and Angels, and then I can't really. That's not great.
No, but even the Phillies game, by the way, though, like, okay, yeah, Schwarber took you deep, and that he's Schwarber, fair enough. But like, and we won, and it was a big lead and stuff. But there's still consequences to that because it got the game just close enough that we had to bring in Jansen.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's
I mean, and that's
enhancement.
kind of the point. If you're like the third dude in the rotation, I guess, for lack of a better phrase there. When I say rotation, I mean when you're looking for a lefty pitcher to come in, I would say he's probably third at this point behind Matzek and Menner, at least based on the performance that we've seen from him lately. And to be honest, he might be behind Dylan Lee as well.
I think he is.
Being a relief pitcher in Major League Baseball is like being a fucking running back in the NFL. Like you don't pay for these people unless they're a generational closer, and you use them in situations until it doesn't work anymore, and you fucking trade them somewhere else and let them start over. That's just, I mean, it sucks, but that's how it is. Like how many middle relief pitchers do you see stay on a team their whole career? It's just not how it works. You know,
it's rare. I mean, yeah, it's literally like Trevor Hoffman or something. Yeah. So Will Smith actually has the lowest fielding independent pitching on the team of anyone who's like a regular appearance.
Right. But Dylan Lee is he's 27, so he's not going to run into some of the issues on the back end of the season,
right?
From being tired. But he's 1.38 ERA. He's pitched 20 games, 26 innings. His WHIP is .81. That's what you want out of a lefty reliever. Now against left-handed batters, which is about a third of his appearances, 139 batting average, 222 slugging, and he does well against righties as well, 233 batting average and a 367 slugging percentage. So definitely better. So what I said before, that applies. Matzek is better than Will Smith. Dylan Lee better than Will Smith. Even AJ Minter, despite having a rough outing recently, has pitched extremely well this year.
Well, and then I mean, even like Jackson Stevens.
Well, he's a righty. I'm just saying, from lefties,
yeah.
like and now Kirby Yates is up at AAA. He's going to be up soon. Honestly, I can see Will Smith getting DFA'd as soon as Kirby Yates is ready to come up. Because I don't know who else you send down from this group of relievers. It's not going to be Minter or Matzek. It could be Chavez maybe, but
Chavez is pitching great. Though.
Yeah, he's kind of like a mop-up dude. Like if they want if they want Will Smith just to hang out and come in blowouts in the fourth inning and pitch 2 or 3 innings, I guess that's fine, but that's not really who he is as a relief pitcher. He's, to my knowledge, he's never done that in his career. If you look over his career stats, usually less innings pitched than games in, right? So he's been used as a specialist a lot, not as a long reliever. Jesse Chavez can throw you 3 innings.
Right.
So I think there's a decent chance that Will Smith gets DFA'd when Kirby Yates is ready. I would not be surprised.
Which sucks. I like him a lot. And I mean, he was very cool about them bringing Jansen in the offseason. Like, he was a team player about it. Like, he told Anthopoulos, he's like, dude, I don't care when I pitch. I just want another parade. So add whoever you want to the bullpen.
I mean, that's a good attitude to have, but you still got to perform. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't like a fucking charity situation, bro.
St. UNICEF.
Yeah. So
it is what it is. I hope he turns it around because he is, I assume, against lefties in particular, if he can figure it out. I say this, like, I don't know how you're fooled by Will Smith, but I also don't know how a left-hander gets wood on that slider.
Yeah, that's tough, but you got to be able to fucking locate the fastball on the outside corner. Otherwise, the slider is very clearly a ball, right?
Oh, it's never a strike.
Yeah,
he never throws it for a strike.
I know, but it doesn't. At no point does it look like a strike if you know the only thing he can locate out there is that pitch. You know what I mean? So that's really his big problem. And to be honest, that's a problem that dudes solve all the time. So who the fuck knows, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a fickle thing that they figure it out quickly, or sometimes they just die. By the way, I looked up Johnny Venters that season that Freddie Gonzalez ran him into the fucking ground.
Yeah.
85 games, 88 innings pitched. The year before, only 79 games, but he did throw 83 innings.
Good Lord, man.
I mean, Johnny Venters should
sue Freddie Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Actually, the entire Braves organization should sue Freddie Gonzalez. He was the worst manager we ever had.
He's so fucking bad. He's such a piece of shit. But whatever. Next up, kind of some bad news for the Braves, I guess. I mean, because this is another guy I like, but he wasn't performing either, and now he's done for the year. Adam Duvall out for the season, so the Braves left field situation is in flux because it was basically a platoon between him and Eddie Rosario. Now it's not. They're throwing Ozuna out there a little bit. Some to borrow a phrase from J.J. Redick, firefighter or plumber named Mike Ford is also on the team right now. So here's the thing that's interesting, and the Yankees got Benintendi's, but here's the thing that's interesting. We, last week or whatever, when we talked about the trade deadline, we were like, I think a starter makes sense in the rotation, whatever. How does this change the fucking equation for what they're going to go out and do at the trade deadline, hopefully do at the trade deadline?
Well, I think it definitely puts some pressure on them to get a deal done for an outfielder of some sort, I think. And
the market, as I mentioned, has shrunk because Benintendi is gone. He's a Yankee now.
Yeah, there's Ian Happ is still out there. He's a switch hitter, and he's hitting .346 against left-handers with good advanced stats as well against left-handers, which is something that's nice to throw out there. I mean, look, to be honest, worst-case scenario, you're going to platoon Ozuna and Rosario out there.
Right.
Ozuna's bat has been pretty consistent this year, I would say. Like, he's a streaky home run hitter, but he's not going into huge slumps or anything like he's been prone to do previously in his career. So he's doing okay. His defense is terrible.
It's like cost you a game terrible.
Yeah.
Especially in October.
Yeah.
Like you can, I guess, like slap it together, with duct tape and shit during the regular season maybe, but like you straight up cannot have Marcell Ozuna in your outfield in October.
No, I mean, but the interesting thing about it, like this is the worst case scenario is they platoon, and then you get the opportunity to use William Contreras at the DH spot, more, which is good. He's like the rate stats aren't necessarily something that you're worried about if you're the other team with him, probably, but he is, a .340 on-base percentage for a guy that doesn't play every day. That's pretty fucking good. His OPS is like in the mid-sevens. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And he will definitely run into one. I expect him to have a big home run or two, kind of like Jorge Soler did in last postseason, because he's just that guy. He plays well in those situations. So, worst case scenario, we're kind of losing a little bit of defense in left but only when there's a left-handed pitcher on the mound, right? Which is only about 20% of the time in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
So,
although you probably would, and I guess this isn't affected, but presumably if the game gets later stages and there's no longer a righty on the mound, you might move Duvall for Rosario for defense.
Yeah, but I mean that's going to be Heredia,
right?
So it's not like
you don't lose much there.
But yeah, I think honestly, a best case scenario, they make a move. There's also that Ref Schneider kid from from Boston, who's for some reason doesn't play every day, always there. Kind of an interesting thing. I mean, they did call him up later in the season, I guess, but he's always really the Korean hitters are kind of weird to gauge like how they're going to react. It seems like I get confused about it because they're older, so I think they've gone through this process of seeing pitchers and then pitchers figuring out their weaknesses and then them adjusting to it, and not just Korean, but anybody that comes later in life from the Asian baseball leagues. Now, some of them don't have it. Like Ohtani he's Babe Ruth, so he didn't.
Right. Yeah.
I was going to say George Herman Ruth, but whatever. He never had that issue, but everybody else pretty much that's come over has to some degree. So he's on the upside of one right now.
Yeah.
He had pretty good success the first time he got called up, and then he had a couple of cups of coffee where it was okay. But then he got exposed. Okay, then he got exposed. This year he's hitting like .422 against right or left-handed pitching. You know what I mean?
Fucking take
so
that.
It's only in 50 at bats, but they've used him in some pretty critical situations. He had a couple of big home runs and things like that. He might be a guy to bring over to add some spark. I don't know what his defense is like. I know he's a right fielder by trade, so that means he's better at defense than a left fielder by trade.
Right. So like Ian Happ, for example, fine defense. I would put him maybe at or a little better than Rosario, but nothing that's going to blow you away. I'm interested in this Brandon Drury dude who I have maybe watched more than I thought of just because he played for the Mets in 2021. So I've probably seen him play a fair amount, but you never hear about him. He is having a really fucking good year. It's kind of his second year in a row where he's really good, although the problem is he only played 51 games last year. Yeah. His WRC plus was 114 last year. That's great. But all the other years he's been terrible. This year, though, Drury, who is a left fielder, can also play second base a little bit, I think.
Well, he plays third base as well.
Yeah.
Like he's a natural third baseman. He's played a lot of second base for the Reds. He's played not this year, but in the past he's played some outfield. So he's a pretty dynamic player. He's also got good pop. He's got 20 home runs, or he's got 19 home runs already,
and a .515 slugging percentage.
Yeah, so he's he's a gap to gap guy. Yeah, I think in Great American, you're going to get quite a few more dingers than you probably would elsewhere.
Yes, and I think he has taken advantage. I think his home
for sure
road splits are pretty. Speak to that.
Yeah, he's not the like right now he's on pace for 30 home runs. He's more of like a 20 home run guy probably. But he's a 20 home run, 30 double guy. So would definitely be a good addition to the team just because of his he can play. He plays first base, he plays third base, he plays second base, and he can play at least left field. I don't know. I doubt he could play right field. But he can play left.
He's competent in left field. I mean, so the home run thing with him, he's definitely doing better than he usually has. But like last year, he slugged 476. He clocks in a 447 and 458 back in Arizona back in the day, a couple years ago. So, I mean, like, he makes good contact for sure. Like, he makes hard contact, so on and so forth. It's interesting to see. Like, there's not a ton of great right-handed options that are at least being talked about. Now, Anthopoulos, you never know.
Yeah, who knows with him? He may pull something out of his ass, but
no one was talking about trading for Jorge Soler last year.
Yeah,
Peterson was on the. That was a.
He's always on the block. He's been on the trading block since like 2018, basically. Right.
But the other ones, Duvall and Soler, not so much. And then who is the Rosario? Nobody was talking about Rosario either.
Yeah, well, he was
hurt.
He was hurt at the time, but yeah, it's we'll see. I'm still not sold on Rosario, to be honest.
He is he is the type of dude you watch where, and again, I love Eddie Rosario. Talk about highlights, I'll fucking watch forever. Him just murdering the Dodgers last year. But he is kind of like a dude you watch and, you just kind of constantly feel like, I don't buy this. Like, even when he's crushing it, like, how?
It seems like it seems like good physical talent and not a lot going on upstairs. That's kind of how it seems to me. Because when I see him do the right thing, I'm like, yeah, you made a good decision. It's never his athletic ability that fails him. It's always bad decision making, like swinging at shitty pitches or taking good pitches.
Or actually, I don't know if this was balls. I mean, bravery and stupidity. It's a fine line, right? When he tagged up last year in the NLCS, from first to second, all that. I mean, if that throw had been on line.
Yeah, he's fucked. Well, we're fucked.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. He's, but I don't know. I'm not sold on him. To be honest, if it's not going to happen now because the Giants are doing well, but it would have been nice to have. It would have been nice if the Giants tanked before the deadline so we could get Jock back.
Jock has cooled off quite a bit.
Sure, but it's coming. It's about his time of year. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and it's every single fucking year he does this shit.
He doesn't cool off in October. No. I think what happens is pretty much we can forget about a starting pitcher. Well,
I don't know that there's anybody out there that's worth making the kind of deal that it would take to get him. You know what I mean? It would be one thing. So if they're talking to Luis Castillo and the conversation is it's going to take these elements from the major league level or minor league level to get him, or a future trade pick or future draft pick or whatever the fuck. And then, you start having a conversation with him and be like, hey, as soon as this trade is done, we want to sign you to a 5-year deal. Yeah. And he's not open to that, then I don't make that deal.
Right.
Because unless it's just like, to be honest, if it was like Tucker Davidson or Kyle Muller or somebody like that, dudes who routinely have been in the major leagues and have posted like mid-4 ERAs, we don't have time for that shit.
Right.
Right? Like that's a dude that belongs on the Reds.
Yeah.
So if they want to take those dudes and we get a rental out of it, I'm fine with that. Especially if it puts us in a good spot to get another chip. But otherwise, not trying to clear out what is already a pretty exhausted minor league for a rental that's gonna so Grissom, fuck no. Schuster, fuck no. Tarnock, fuck no. None of those dudes would I trade for him, even straight up.
And that's also like kind of it.
Yeah.
You're right. We did restock pretty well in this draft.
But they can't trade any of those dudes until the end of the year.
Right. And also it's just like they're real low. You know what I mean? So the farm in the meantime is it's gassed. It's exhausting.
But they're kind of they're heavy on the top end for major league ready people that are going to be either non-starters or back of the rotation guys. I mean, they have Muller and Elder and Anoa and all, like they have plenty of dudes that could play Major League Baseball right now for sure.
And what's funny is people talk about, I read this a lot when they talk about AAA teams. It's like one thing to remember. It's like, when they make these trades, like they have to keep in mind that those minor league teams have to remain viable sporting units.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they can't just like gut everything and be like, oh, fuck it, move up some AA guys or something like that. And with the Reds, I mean, with the major league team, it's the same way too, right? Like you don't want to be a fully AAA fucking team. Like you need to be at least working towards something. And I don't know that they would feel that way if they just, I don't know, ran Muller and Elder out there for 2 years or something before.
I mean, it would be an upgrade for the Pirates. Like our top 3 AAA starters, actually all 5 of our AAA starters now, because Freddie Tarnock is up in AAA now. Jared Schuster just got moved up as well. So the guy, we talked about this about a month ago, some of these prospects, these guys are getting pretty close to being ready to be in Major League Baseball. So, Tarnock came up about 2 weeks ago. He started 2 games. And he's got a 3.38 ERA at AAA, looking good. His whip is like 1.03. And then Jared Schuster just came up. He had his first outing in AAA was like 5 hits, 2 runs, nothing major, I think.
Yeah. But
these guys are on schedule for next year, actually. Now, I thought it may be mid next year to end of next year. They're on schedule as starting pitchers to be ready by next year. Now, if you were in a conversation with a guy like Castillo, who's 29, I believe he'll be 30 by the end of the year, for a 5-year deal. 4-year deal, maybe. Right. Then I'll give up one of these dudes who, for the Reds, would probably be in their rotation next year. That's fine. But, AA knows he makes pretty good decisions about that stuff. Like, what's that dude's name that we traded last year? Bryce something or other.
Wilson,
yeah. That dude's on the Pirates now with a 5 ERA.
Right,
like,
getting 8 up.
Yeah.
I mean, we traded him for not much. That was for Rodriguez, I believe.
Yeah, but if that had worked out, that would have been good. But
right.
the just as a reminder to the fans, Rodriguez is one of the guys whose spin rate went down like by 80% when the sticky stuff got banned. So, that's something else. But we'll see. I mean, I don't know that there's a player out there, to your point, other than Soto or Ohtani, for example, who would be worth cleaning out what little remains in our farm system. Now, the Ohtani situation is really interesting because when asked about the trade deadline last night, Ohtani said the following: regardless of where I'm playing, I'm going to give it my all and try to win the ball game in front of me. I'm with the Angels right now, and I'm very thankful for what they've done. I love my team and teammates. Right now, I'm an Angel. That's all I can focus on. That sounds like a dude that's about to get traded to me. Who is also very okay with being traded.
I was about to bring that up because it's what Ohtani is trending on Twitter right now. MLB Network said that this was and the Angels are listening to offers. Someone said they want the top 4 prospects, basically.
Worth it.
This is what what MLB Network has suggested the Braves could do to get Shohei Ohtani. Now tell me if you would do this. We get Shohei Ohtani. the Braves send Kyle Muller, Braden Shoemake, whatever.
The shortstop, yeah. Those are two guys we've moved on from, by the way, because Grissom is behind Shoemake.
Yeah.
And he's going to beat him out. He's a better player.
Now, here's where it gets interesting.
Yeah. Michael Harris.
Michael Harris second.
Yep. And Spencer Strider.
No, they have Kyle Wright.
That's even... No, I wouldn't do that.
You wouldn't do that?
No.
I think I would maybe be more okay with sending Wright than Strider, but maybe I'm just in love with Strider.
Yeah, I mean, I would, yeah, certainly that, but I'm not willing to give up Harris in any deal.
I think
that would be a huge fucking mistake.
So, it's nice. You do get 2 players out of Shohei Ohtani. Mm-hmm. However, your outfield defense in particular regresses back to, like, dog shit.
Yeah, like he doesn't play the outfield well.
Ohtani?
Yeah.
Certainly can't play center.
And you're not going to let him either because you don't want to what would be the point if he's going to pitch? You can't put that kind of strain on his legs. So then you're looking at an outfield where Acuna pretty much has to move back to center field,
which we don't want to do.
And then you jam up the DH spot where you're currently rotating Marcell Ozuna and William Contreras. You know what I mean? That's not a good deal for me.
So,
no, I would not make that trade.
Do you maybe try to get someone who is a defensive specialist from them? I'm looking at their outfield. Obviously, Mike Trout plays center field. We're not going to get him. Are any of these other dudes good at defense? Taylor Ward and competent, like, replacement level with the bat? Taylor Ward, Brandon Marsh, or Magnurius Sierra? Like,
I don't even care, to be honest, because I wouldn't do any of that. If
Harris is not just playing defense, he's crushing the ball.
Yeah, he's so Harris is on pace, I think. Let me check. I looked the other day. So he's got 2.2 WAR right now in 54 games, which means he's on pace for about a 4 wins above replacement season in about 85 games, give or take. 90 games maybe. So you extrapolate that out. It's a 7 WAR season pace he's on. And he's 21 fucking years old. So if you take the value of Ohtani stretched out over the next, let's call it fucking 10 years, right?
Right.
Which is how long you should expect Ohtani to remain in Major League Baseball, probably.
He's 28.
Yeah.
So,
but he's putting a lot of miles on his body right now. I think 10 years is about the outside max for him. To be honest.
I'm saying that's the hard. Yeah. That's a dream, actually. I think because think about this too. Last year was the first year he stayed healthy the entire time.
Yeah.
I mean, he is on track to do it again this year. Mm-hmm. But 114 games in 2018. I guess that's fine. That's his first year in the league. I don't even know if that was an injury situation or if it was just like he didn't play every day yet. I don't remember.
I think they used him. Well, he had some minor stuff. Like he would get a dinged up foot at the plate and they wouldn't let him pitch for a while. So it's kind of like that.
The next year, though, 106 games in 2019. There were injuries there. I suppose he more or less played a full year in 2020, 46 games out of 60. And then, last year he played a full season, 158 out of 162 games. He's played 96 games so far, so that's all fine. But, I mean, and God, dude, he was the MVP last year for a reason. Good Lord. 46 home runs, 26 stolen bases, 103 yards. I mean, he had 5 wins above replacement just with hitting.
Yeah, 5 hitting and then 4 pitching, so that's 9. But let's say if you take those back end years and any potential injuries into account, you're talking about if you're lucky 8 to 10 years of 7 wins above replacement, and you juxtapose that against a guy who's doing that in his rookie season at 21 years old and who you have under team control for a while, and who also is an elite defender at a fucking prime defense position. There's no fucking way. There's not a player in Major League Baseball that I would trade
for Harris.
Not like straight up. There's no player that I would trade because there's nobody else who stays like it would be Trout, but he can't stay healthy. Right. There's no other center fielder that hits like Harris does right now, that plays defense like he does right now. He's 21 years old. There's no fucking way I'm trading anybody for him.
Harris is a non-starter. Yeah. I would be more than fine to give up Wright or Strider, but not also Harris. I mean, for Ohtani, because here's the thing, and I actually want to ask you this about the fucking Castillo thing too. How much are you on dynasty mode here? Like, are you playing for the next? It's interesting. Like, are you playing for the next 10 years, or are you playing for the next 20?
Yeah, I mean,
because nobody really winning a championship every now and then is nice. Like every couple of years is nice, but like people really seem to chase, like the Yankees situation or the
right.
Giants, right? Like the dynasty stuff, or even the '90s Braves. Only won one. People don't really care about winning over 20 years. They want to win. They want a really good fucking decade.
Yeah, I mean, but the Braves have never been like that.
Yeah,
and I can't imagine they're going to start behaving that way now.
So you don't think they're going to get all that win now?
I mean, you make some moves, right? Like if you know a guy is kind of topped out in his ability and his ability level is good is major league ready, but not for a team that's contending for titles every year.
Mm-hmm.
Like to trade Davidson, Muller, Elder, and Noah, those are guys that could have good, like 2-3 year runs of sub-4 ERAs, but probably spend most of their career in the 4-ish ERA territory. That's a serviceable back of the rotation guy for a mid-market or small market team. That's the reality of baseball, right?
Right.
So, if you want to surrender dudes like that who certainly could help you at some point, but who, you could leverage for more help now, I think you make that move. But
right.
For a 21-year-old who is a generational talent, fuck no. And I would say the same about Strider as well. I would give up Wright before I would give up Strider, for sure.
Yeah, I think so too.
Even though Wright is he's a very good pitcher, which is a tough thing to teach somebody how to be,
right.
Especially at his what is he, 24 years old or
he's
something? He's
super young, yeah.
That's tough. He's going to have a great career, but Strider's different, He's
Strider doesn't even know how to pitch yet.
Yeah, he has no idea what he's doing. He's just fucking going wild and having great success at it. And to be honest, like you'll see a guy do that for a while and then somebody figures it out, but you can't figure out 100. I mean, it just is what it is, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't make that deal. But
would you include the shortstop Vaughn
Grissom?
Yeah.
And Shoemaker?
If you knew you could re-sign Dansby, like if they were confident they could re-sign Dansby, do you then?
Yes. Yeah, well, because you're going to get another 5 years of productivity out of him, probably.
Right.
Yes,
and then you can just figure it out from there.
Yeah.
I think so too. I would happily, if you talk to Dansby and be like, hey, we're about to get literally.
I mean, I would make that part of the thing. I would just re-sign Dansby Swanson right now.
Yes.
To keep it. If you make that move, you got to re-sign him now, even if it's at elevated from qualifying offer.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be qualifying offer is going to be about 18. If you want to go 20 mil, like 5 over 100 or 100 over 5 and lock him into that deal. Yeah, I'd do that.
Also, it just gives you, if you lock Dansby up, it gives you a lot of freedom to operate, knowing that you have two great shortstop prospects to
for sure.
With.
I mean, these are guys like Shoemaker is going to be a 2 to 3 wins above replacement shortstop in Major League Baseball. Mm. Why are you looking at steak?
I know. I just noticed that, Dan.
We're trying to fucking do a show. You can't put steak on. You may as well just whip your dick out, and start pounding off or something. It's very distracting.
What is
happening?
Get that
out of here, asshole. Anyways, yeah, Shoemaker is going to be like a 2 to 3 wins above replacement shortstop. Very quality dude. Will probably be on a good team for some time. Grissom is going to be like a 4 to 5 wins above replacement guy, so far as we can tell right now. Every time he gets promoted, he just does really well. He's learning. Pitch selection's actually getting a lot better recently based on the scouting reports I've been reading. I mean, but you never know, right? Are they going to be the quality of player that Dansby is now, and are they going to have the leadership qualities that he has, which are that kind of intangible is really fucking important for a team that contends. The Angels know that better than anybody. If you have a fucking
guy staring at clouds.
Yeah, if you have a guy staring at clouds and another guy who doesn't speak the language, you know what I mean? And it's not a fucking cultural or ethnic thing. It's like
he literally can't communicate.
He can't communicate with other guys except for by like, I'm sorry. Like, which is fine. He's a great dude, by the way. Everybody fucking Ben Verlander, I think he and Ohtani are in some kind of relationship.
I mean,
I've told Ben before, I'm like, dude, if you don't stop, your wife is going to leave you.
Yeah.
It's getting weird. But
like Ben Verlander has shirtless pictures of Shohei Ohtani.
He actually had one of those shirts made that's just Ohtani's face all over it. But yeah, he's a great dude and all, but there are elements to and they bring Rendon over, right? Who's extremely talented. Even if he hadn't been injured this whole time, Rendon's not the guy that comes over and fucking amps up the clubhouse and keeps all the shit going, right? Sometimes it's Guillermo Heredia. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you got to have those elements, and the Angels don't. They don't have the culture, and they don't have the elements like that. So if you lose somebody like Swanson, you lose that too. It's not just the performance on the field, right?
Right.
That you lose. It's the championship pedigree, I guess, and then the attitude that comes along with that. So yeah, I would be, even though there's a pretty good chance. Or not a pretty good chance. There's a decent chance that Shoemake will be as good in Major League Baseball as Swanson is. There's a good chance that Grissom is going to be better.
Right.
But I'll trade that for
certainty
from Ohtani, provided we can keep
Harris,
the personality quality of Dansby Swanson.
Yeah.
Even more so than just his bat.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Honestly, you take Harris off of that list and put two other fucking do pretty much anyone else on there. I will give up a lot of the farm for Shohei Ohtani. Yeah. But it's just Harris is like there's no depth. There's nothing to replace Michael Harris with.
There's nothing in literally in Major League Baseball, in my opinion. I don't think there's even Mike Trout, because of his injuries. I wouldn't trade anybody for this kid. Not one fucking player. Like even so, like you talk about extreme shit, right? People who don't play center field and who you might be able to move over there. Maybe Julio Rodriguez, right? But he's another guy that nobody would ever consider trading. But if you think about like Mookie Betts, for example, probably still don't make that trade because you lose something in defense. Like Mookie Betts can't play defense like Michael Harris can.
No.
And Mookie Betts is an extremely good right fielder. He's probably like in the top 5 right fielders in baseball. Not including the bat. I'm just mean just like defensively, because he's got a fucking hose and he makes good decisions out there. But wouldn't make that trade either because of the premium position that he plays.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you don't trade a shortstop for a second baseman.
Right.
You just don't do it.
Yeah, it'd be way different if we were talking a right fielder or certainly left field or something like that. Real quick, let's get some ads before we keep going. Do you love sports? How about making money? If you answered yes to either of those questions, then MyBookie.com is the place for you. Not only does betting with MyBookie.com make every game more exciting, but when you sign up using the promo code Drinkin' Bros, your first deposit is instantly doubled up to $1,000. With thousands of bets to make on all your favorite sports, there's no shortage of ways for you to win at MyBookie.com. On top of having amazing lines and props, MyBookie is also home to several exclusive contests and promotions that you cannot find anywhere else. They also have a real, live, actual human casino that you can play on online. It's not a sketchy video poker situation. They're actual human dealers. It's pretty fun to play. If you got some money to kick around, it's, time to kill. Why not? I've done it. It's a good time. Get off the couch, get in the game with MyBookie.com. Turn your love of sports into your new side hustle. Head to MyBookie.com today. Use the promo code Drinkin' Bros to get your first deposit instantly doubled up to $1,000 and start winning today. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.com. Next up, Brian Snitker gets his 500th win as a big league manager. How would you rate his career so far?
I would say it's good. I being able to win a championship. Look, if I feel like last year you got to give a lot of credit to Alex Anthopoulos, obviously. But there's something to be said for not fucking up what's working as well.
Yeah.
I mean, the interesting thing to me about baseball is that it seems like the manager still makes, and it's the case in all sports, but it seems like the manager still makes most of the primary bullpen decisions. When in football, if you have a good coordinator, that's the person calling the plays. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I don't know how that works in the Braves organization. I don't know, even back in the day with Mazzoni, who's one of the more respected pitching coaches in Major League Baseball history.
Presumably a future Hall of Famer. I don't think
probably,
he is yet.
Yeah. The Veterans Committee will put him on at some point, yeah. But even then, I don't know what his role was in influence. Like, I'm sure Bobby asked him about stuff.
I mean, he was Bobby's right-hand man.
Yeah. I mean, he was effectively the bench coach as well, yeah. But I don't – what I don't know is with because I see some questionable moves out of Snitker, and he's the one – I think it would be interesting for a baseball team, and some have actually done this before, but I think it would be interesting for a baseball team where it's the pitching coach who goes out and changes pitchers and not the manager, because that's kind of your job, dude.
Right.
We've seen it before with a couple of guys.
I guess the only difference would be why the manager goes out there is that the decision's already been made, so he's there to handle like the personality of it.
Yeah, maybe, but I mean, I feel like if you go to the practice field in professional football team getting ready for the week, when you have strong coordinators like on the Patriots, you wouldn't necessarily see Belichick nosing in on the offense because what's that fat fuck's name that went to Notre Dame after?
Charlie Weiss.
Charlie Weiss, yeah. Charlie Weiss would have been like, hey, bro, got it.
Yeah.
Fuck out of here. But, not everybody's built that way either. So you might be excellent at managing the personality and workload and training regimen of your bullpen or your pitching staff, and not necessarily be the guy who hypes them up. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And maybe that's the manager. Maybe, I don't know. I think it would be interesting to see that, because that's kind of been the rub on Freddie Gonzalez. Was not a good manager in any regard.
Not in the clubhouse.
Yeah, he wasn't good at
tactically.
Anything. But both Bobby and Brian Snitker were basically the same dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they iffy on the bullpen decisions.
It's called like tactically mediocre.
Tactically mediocre, but beloved and great results. I mean, Bobby Cox is one of like 4 managers all time who had 600 win seasons. I think it's like Connie Mack, Joe Torre, Bobby Cox, and Tony La Russa, I think.
Yeah.
Are the only managers ever to do that like 6 times.
Mm-hmm. I think
hard to argue with the results.
And
there.
He's in the 3,000. Is it 3,000 or 2,000?
3,000.
3,000 club. Yeah.
Yeah. He's. I think. Hold on. No, maybe it is.
I think it might be 2,000. But I really can't remember.
Let's see.
Yeah, it is the 2,000 club.
Yeah, he's like 2,500 and 2,000 for his career or something like that.
Yes.
Is that right?
He has. So Connie Mack has the most with 3,700. La Russa is second with 2,800. Cox, though, better winning percentage than La Russa and Joe Torre, actually.
Torre had some pretty rough years early on with the Braves and shit like that.
He was the Cardinals manager for the first half of the 90s as well.
Boy,
yeah.
That's rough. But yeah, I mean, like you're talking about Snitker basically they chose him because of how much like Bobby Cox he was.
Yes, 100%.
So, and obviously it paid pretty much immediate dividends. Not only, like, forget about the fact that he has a World Series now, but he also he rehabilitated the attitude of the team, the clubhouse attitude, from the damage that Freddie Gonzalez did. Not that Freddie Gonzalez was a fucking lunatic or anything,
right.
But he just wasn't. He's not a good manager. He's probably a great coach, not a good manager. And the same thing.
Well, he was a coach for Bobby Cox.
Yeah,
I think the bench coach or something like that.
But I think about like Wash. Great. Wash might be the best coach I've ever heard of in Major League Baseball. As far as being a manager, not sure about that whole thing.
I tweeted last year that, and I genuinely believe this, that Ron Washington is the most impactful Braves coach of all time, or most impactful Braves coach since Leo Mazzoni. Yeah. And he's probably second place all time in terms of just coach list. I don't think Mazzoni's basically impossible to top.
Yeah. But it's hard to look at all that being equal for Snitker. He's won 500 games now.
Never lost the division in a full year.
Yeah, never lost the division in a full season. The NLCS in 2020, where he refused to bring back Fried on short rest, that was a huge mistake, and it cost him the series. The 2019 NLDS, as you have noted here,
we should have won that.
Tactically, we didn't lose. We put people in a bad position. Mm-hmm. We set people up to fail for that one. So, I tactically mediocre, but you you recognize that, and maybe he made better decisions in 2021. He rode the hot hand, no matter who it was.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if a guy was hot, he brought him back and put him in that position, and that's what you do in the fucking playoffs. It's like a hockey goalie. You have the top-paid you have the top-paid goalie in the league, and he goes on a bad run. You pull him and put a fucking rookie in there because that's how it works for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know why it works like that. We've seen it a million goddamn times over the last, 30 years in the NHL. But the same thing is true of pitching, especially in the playoffs. And he did it right last year.
Yeah.
So maybe he learned. We'll see this year.
And you know what? I mean, the bullpen was excellent last year, although kind of magically excellent, as we talked about with Will Smith earlier. Right. But he had tough decisions to make in 2020 and 2021 with regard to the rotation because he didn't have a full rotation in either of those years. Yeah. Kyle Wright, he didn't start that game, but Kyle Wright basically started a World Series game last year. Yeah. Because he came in with no one out in the first inning and a guy or two on or something like that. I mean, he's had to get through a lot. I love him, and I want him to manage until he is ready to retire. I think we're not going to find a better manager. And I'm kind of out on. There's certain dudes like Kevin Cash and shit like that who are tactically fantastic and stuff and have a great front office behind them as well. But I don't really want to get cute and try to chase after the Joe Maddens of the world and stuff like that.
No.
I would prefer good clubhouse, mediocre tactics to the other way around. If I had to, only take one strength.
Yeah, I mean, the Rays organization gets a lot of credit for how crafty they are. They don't get enough credit for how badly they fuck players over. Especially pitchers, how they run pitchers into the fucking ground.
Yeah.
That was the thing that really upset me most about Gonzalez, is that it's one thing to rely on a dude, but it's you ended Venner's career because you mismanaged him. It's not like you embarrassed him or put him in a position and he gave up a game-winning home run of the World Series and now that's what people remember about him. No, you ended his ability to earn money for his family.
Yeah.
And Tampa Bay does that on a regular basis. They run fucking people into the ground there. I would rather have an organization that I can be proud of the way they behave, not just the way they fucking perform.
Right. I completely agree. Last but not least, wanted to ask you, not a Braves question, but wanted to ask you, the front runners for Soto are rumored to be St. Louis and St. Diego. Who would you rather not see get Juan Soto out of those two?
I don't believe that he's going to go to San Diego. I just don't believe that.
Right. Why?
For one, they have a guy locked into a 13-year, $350 million contract already, and the word on the street is this deal doesn't get done unless they also take Patrick Corbin for next year, which means they're going to have Soto at $40 million. Mm-hmm. They're going to have Machado at $29 million or some shit, and they're going to have Tatis Jr. at $28 million, and then they're going to have fucking Patrick Corbin at the 30 fucking something million that he's going to get for next year. I think 32 is what he's on the books for. No way. You're not spending $120 million on 4 players.
By the way, there's still $59 million left on Eric Hosmer's contract.
Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, look, there's no baseball doesn't have a salary cap.
Right.
It's bullshit, right? But and San Diego's got plenty of money. That's not the problem. But how does this make any sense? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Unless one of those dudes is going in the other direction. Are they going to trade Tatis for him? Is that even on the table? What would a trade package look like from them?
Right.
I don't know.
But which team would be scarier to you to have him? Because for me,
the Cardinals.
I'm fucking terrified of him being on the Cardinals.
Yeah.
That becomes a situation where it's every October, it's a 2019 NLDS situation. Mm-hmm. Every October, hands on the knees, God damn it.
I felt that way when Matt Holliday was there, to be honest.
Yeah.
When he actually came over to later to Atlanta, wasn't the same guy, I guess. Mm-hmm. But when those after he left Colorado and went to St. Louis, he butt fucked us so many times in serious situations. Towards the end of his career, not so much, but in the When was he there? Like
Matt Holliday?
2010,
I think he got there like
2011 to 2015 or something.
He got there when I was in college. I remember my friends all fucking jizzing their pants over it.
2009. That's his first year there. He got traded mid-season. Like he left Colorado and signed with Oakland, and then immediately got traded.
Of course.
But yeah, man, he fucking for some reason he just seemed to have our number. And then I know that the Braves have a history of doing deals with the Cardinals, like sending Ron Gant over there, sending Wainwright over there, and shit like that. But man, I'm just not. It seems like every time we send somebody over there, it comes back to bite us. And it seems like
they are
more than even the Mets over the last 20 years. They've been a rival to us. You know what I mean?
They are a constant thorn in our side. So we beat them in 96, came back from a 3-1 series deficit, pretty crushing for them. And then they have basically owned us in the playoffs.
In the playoffs especially, yeah. Yeah, I don't want to see him on that team. I would rather face him in the NL East. You know what I mean? Because then at least we have 23 chances to beat him that year.
And also, I don't trust the Mets to not fuck that up. I don't even trust the Phillies to not fuck that up.
Yeah.
I assume the Cardinals will get the absolute most out of him.
Yeah, probably. And I think San Diego is slowly becoming like the Angels, where they're just piling talent up and not performing.
I'm fine with him going there.
Yeah.
You never see him in October.
No, definitely not.
But yeah, that's so. Please God, don't let the Cardinals get him.
Yeah.
That is all I've got today. I guess pray we can fleece the Angels for Shohei Ohtani.
Would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I would. Again, I think I said last week I would suck Alex Anthopoulos' dick so hard he'd die if we got Shohei Ohtani. So
suck his dick to death. Yeah.
Yeah, suck his dick to death. So that's it. That's all I fucking got.